The following program is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Bleh! Dracula Resurrection is a point-and-click adventure game developed by Index Plus and released June 5th, 2000. The game acts as a sequel to Bram Stoker's 1897 real estate thriller. If you're not in the know with this little gem, it follows a real estate agent named Jonathan I Hope No Goth Women Take Advantage of Me, Harker, as he travels to the middle of nowhere to sell a creepy house to a creepy weirdo. After sealing the deal, the creepy weirdo travels to Britain, crashes a boat, becomes a furry, and tries to steal Harker's wife, Mina. All the while, Harker is stranded within his castle, being held captive by a coterie of goth women. While in Britain, the contemptuous cuckolder is perpetually cockblocked by Hannibal Lecter and a quote-unquote real man. So, after failing to submit the 3D woman to his heathen ways, the dejected weirdo attempts to return to Transylvania in order to work on his OC, until he is promptly hunted down and slain by Big Texas and a now free and probably dehydrated Jonathan. The game's story takes place years after the novel, with Mina Harker once again falling under Dracula's spell and disappearing. After having tracked her to Transylvania, we take control of Jonathan on his quest to save his estranged wife from the lifestyle, and finally kill this f***ing vampire. Speaking of vampires, let's talk about this game's publisher. If you buy this game today, there is a chance you are not buying the original version, at least if you buy it on Steam. Forgive me, because I'm probably going to butcher this timeline, but here goes nothing. So, Dracula Resurrection releases in 2000 by a company called Index, or maybe Index Plus? At some point after this, in 2000, Index Plus merges with France Telecom and becomes Wanadu Edition. Wanadu Edition and another company called Canal Plus Multimedia released the game's sequel later that same year. Then, in 2003, Wanadu Edition gets bought out by M2, which is an arm of Microids. Then the series goes cold until around 2008, where M2, or Microids, gets another developer named Chaos Studios to develop a third game. 2010 rolls around, and Microids gets bought out by an even bigger company called Anuman. Then in 2011, all three of the games are retooled and released for iOS, with the story being changed to be episodic and its gameplay overall reworked for iOS controls. This is sold as Dracula Trilogy. Then in 2013, the, I think, original versions, or at least the closest we're going to get to the original versions, were released on GOG, but as a bundle also called Dracula Trilogy. Then, the following year, 2014, the iOS versions are then again retooled back to work on PC, and all three games are released as separate titles on Steam. You can also pick up a loose copy on Zoom platform, which I believe is the same as the GOG version. I don't exactly know what Zoom platform's deal is, but so far I've bought a few things from them, and I mean, they haven't stolen my credit card information yet, so it can't be all that bad. There was also a version released for the PS1. Is this interesting? No, not really. I just thought it ironic that a game series about Dracula has met such a fate, having been brought back, seemingly from death, cursed to exist in a shambling ghoul-like state, marred and mangled by the gnarled claws of phone-based game design, a shadow of its former self. This story begins where the novel ends, with Jonathan and Quincy killing Dracula while he's on his way back to his castle. And Quincy is just booking it. Look at my boy go. Until he gets filtered by the Drac attack. Look at my boy go! You know, one thing I always forget is Dracula's minions. I'm so used to, like, Castlevania Dracula, where he quite literally has every evil creature, ghoul, ghost, and Galamoth under his employ, but here he's just courts, like, half a dozen inbred hill people to commit thuggery for him. Anywho, after Dracula fucking explodes, we jump ahead 7 years, with a letter from Mina. Apparently, Drac is back, and it appears that the previous detonation, he was merely pretending. So, to sum it up, Mina is gone, and we have to go back to Transylvania. Well, I guess we best introduce ourselves to the locals. I would normally be offended, but I don't think this fella can really see where he's going. Either way, it looks like they were in a rush. Must have to hurry back home to the sister mother. Inquiring with the locals about the castle doesn't get us very far. Just a lot of, "You best not go up to that place after sundown," and "Evil tidings be around that place, I tell you there is." You know, the type of talk I imagine surrounds most castles around here. We can find a telescope in the basement, which we can place on the roof using a secret ceiling door in our room, but that's all we can really do for here now. We find another one of the locals, and this one is guarding a bridge that we need to cross. But I'm not very good at riddles, and this guy doesn't seem like much of a talker.
Go away!
So we're gonna have to find a way to move him. Or kill him. We can always just kill him. Either way, he can go on the back burner. Because we have to go down to the graveyard to do a little digging. Doing this gets us a ring, which depicts a dragon eating its own ass. I didn't know they were freaky like that down here. Now that we've acquired the freak ring, we can begin our assault on the hill folk. Well, he's dead. And as a reward for our violence, we get a knife and a flute. Maybe one of the infolk knows what the flute is for.
I see. It's the flute belonging to the ruffians who were sitting there earlier.
Do you know what they use this instrument for?
You still have a lot to learn about the servants of evil. They use it to call each other. They communicate with one another by playing a melody.
Then that's their rallying cry. Do you know what melody they play?
I watched them. They weren't paying attention to me. They thought I was drunk, but it takes more than a dozen drinks to befuddle my brain. I remember the tune they used to call one another. Here it is.
Damn, John.
Did you see that? The sign fell down and knocked Diorga out. Fiorel is going to be furious. I have to hurry downstairs and lock the doors. May the good Lord protect us.
Okay, so we can't use the front door, but we can drop down the hole in this balcony. Once we're outside, we can loot that dead yokel and finally cross that bridge. So the bridge is out, and the final angry yokel is blocking our path to get anywhere other than the inn. So what we have to do is take the key we got from the dead hillbilly, open the well, go down into the well, get a grappling hook, use the grappling hook to get back into the inn, and then we can talk to the nice lady? And she tells us that her late husband had a tunnel in the basement that we can use to get us back outside past the yokel. Once outside, we can go back to the shed where we killed that first dude and use the elevator. Oh dang, did we get a bad end? I don't know where else we could have gone. Holy f***, he survived that? My boy is missing no leg day. The thighs on this man, Jesus. So, we wander around the mines for a bit and... How big is this fucking table? Are there giants down here? Maybe that fall did more damage than I thought. Strange tables aside, we can escape this shaft on a nearby minecart. Look at my boy go! He's got moves like a cat! Wait a minute, is this Sandstorm? So, the cart takes us to another shaft. We obliterate a bunch of bats, and then get to jump on a gondola? After that, we can finally make our way to Dracula's castle. We even get an appearance from Big D himself.
He'll soon find out what it costs to attack me. What greater pain could I possibly inflict on him than impede his quest when time is so precious? But the sun is rising, and now is not the time to play with my prey. The fool. He is walking to his death, and he is not aware of it.
Alright, we're getting to the last section of the game, so if you don't want to know how this ends, go to here. But I mean, come on. Don't you want to know after all we've been through? If you leave now, you'll never know the fate of John's marital status. Our gondola ride takes us straight to Castle Dracula, which is by far the most esoteric and confusing part of the game. Well, I mean, it's the only esoteric and confusing part of the game. But before we can crack into any of the puzzles, we have to talk to the creepy old lady who lives in the basement. This eccentric weirdo is Dorco. Hey, don't think I didn't hear that. Don't you laugh at her. There's nothing funny about this. This is serious business. John's wife is missing, and you're over here snickering? Shame on you. Dorco tells us that she can help us find Mina, but first we have to break a curse that's keeping her trapped in the basement. She lets us up into the castle proper so we can poke around. So we're looking for a medallion and a talisman, both of which are said to have mystical powers. This is the first part of the game where I got genuinely stuck. Now, I wish I could say I got stuck because there were some good puzzles here, like some real head scratchers. But no, it's because I didn't realize I had to put a photo up here. No other spot in the game has made me look this high. It's just... The puzzles here span between two rooms, the study and the bedroom. We gotta move. Fast. Wandering about the castle gets us into a bunch of hijinks, like placing paintings,
Pondering an orb.
deciphering some Magic the Gathering cards, choking a gargoyle, finding some cursed gold, breaking a clock, and stabbing a dragon, all in service of opening a secret bookshelf door. We also find a little note from Big D himself.
I'm not loyal to anybody. I'm a demon. I have no loyalty for anyone. Never did, never will. Shorty chose to be with a demon. Sounds like her problem to me. Ha ha, this shit ain't nothing to me, man. Yeah, she's squeezing the garlic.
Inside this new and exotic room, there's a staircase. Upstairs, we get another note from Dracula talking about how he built one of Leonardo da Vinci's flying machines.
The theories of that young genius I met in Florence in 1468 turned out to be true. I have kept some of his sketches, especially this one of the flying machine, inspired by the flight of birds. Building the device was an enormous intellectual challenge. I shall now put the machine in the tower.
And a bottle of acid, as well as a puzzle which, to be honest with you, I solved by accident. The Steam version, this puzzle isn't even present. Well, I mean, it kind of is, but the game just solves it for you. Using this cross thing we got from the puzzle reveals another staircase, where we get accosted by fucking Doja Cat, apparently. Actually, can I even show this on YouTube? I think she's wearing a top, but it doesn't look like she's wearing a top. Evidently, it is also really fucking cold in this castle. That's definitely pushing them. It's definitely pushing it. But the malicious memories of these sultry stegoi will not distract us from our goal. These crusty zombies can do nothing to stop us. That's right, bitch. I said what I said. The Strigoi can't touch John because he holds the fancy talisman. Unfortunately, they're blocking all of our exits. And can I just say I've always found scenes like this extremely unsettling? Like, I know they're just part of the background and they can't hurt me, but I just don't like how they stand there, menacingly. There is another way through, and it leads us to a spire where we can find Dorko.
Give me the amulet.
You can get into the castle, can't you? How is that possible?
Your mind is quick, but it is still a mere mortal intellect. When you took the amulet from its place, the curse was broken. Now I can go wherever I want to go. Come now, give me the amulet.
I won't give it to you until you've told me where Mina is.
Don't tell me you have already forgotten how I helped you. Is this all the thanks I get?
Thanks for what? Up to now, all I've done is risk my life to recover this amulet that you seem to want so much. Right now, I'm the one who's giving the orders. Tell me, where is Mina?
I have one last bargain to make with you. After that, you will never hear from Dorko again. Give me the amulet and I will show you your wife. You can trust me. I am a woman of my word. Good. You made the right decision.
And now, bring my wife to me.
I told you, I am true to my word. There she is.
Mina!
I'm sorry, just that half second where the cloth gets stuck on her face. It's just...
And here, John, is your beloved.
Mina! must stay focused. Either way, we give the talisman to Dorko as per our deal, and she immediately betrays us.
As for you, I've paid my debt, but when Dracula comes back, I will have to prove to him that I can reign by his side, as I did with his father. What better proof can I give him of my allegiance than delivering his enemy into his hands, retrieving the dragon ring, and protecting his betrothed? You are too valuable for me to let you go.
You know what's funny? This scene isn't even in the Steam release. This is what the Steam version looks like.
Right now, I'm the one who's giving the orders. Tell me, where is Mina?
I have one last bargain to make with you. After that, you will never hear from Dorko again. Give me the amulet and I will show you your wife. You can trust me. I am a woman of my word.
You don't even see Mina or, like, John give Dorko the talisman. It's just, like, it's absolutely scuffed. So, once we open the window, it's finally time to get Mina and get the hell out of here. Wait, so Dracula isn't even here? I was just thinking about that. He's back at Carfax. Then why have Mina travel all the way to Transylvania? Carfax is in London where Mina already was. Like, aren't we just delivering Mina right back to Dracula if he's in Carfax? You know what? Fuck it. It doesn't even matter at this point.
Mina will be in danger. I can't avoid the confrontation any longer. Once I'm in London, I will have to confront Dracula. For Mina, and for all the men on this earth. This time, and with the help of God, we will definitively destroy the monster. I swear it.
Oh, I get it. It sounds like Dork. That's pretty funny. Okay, so just to start with a little background on me before I go any further, I haven't played a point-and-click adventure game since Pajama Sam and Freddy Fish, so the point-and-click genre is just something I'm wholly not used to. And all that being said, I really enjoyed this. It helped that this game is particularly easy. Most of the puzzles you'll find are standard item puzzles, like use X on Y kind of deals, and most of which are fairly straightforward, with the more outlandish puzzles only showing up at a bit at the end. The game is also, like, really, really short. Its total length coming in at about the time it takes me to casually eat, like, one box of Cheez-Its. Which is fine, because it doesn't overstay its welcome. The controls are really simple. The entire thing is played with the mouse. You control the camera like a normal first-person game. Left-click interacts and moves you around, and right-click opens up your inventory. And the cursor in the middle of the screen will change based whether you're pointing at something where you can move to or interact with, or an item that you can pick up. I did get hung up a few times, and I did have to consult a guide once or twice, but it was never because I was stumped, it was more because I just didn't know there were places I could go to, or know that there were things I could interact with. I couldn't progress simply because, like, I didn't realize, oh, I can click on this thing. Like the painting got me hung up for a little bit, and finding out that I could go on the right-hand path in the mine shaft took me longer than I would like to admit. The resolution being stuck in 4x3 and the game being just generally very dark didn't help with a lot of that. Also, for a game with a voiced protagonist, I am kind of disappointed that John doesn't talk more about stuff. He doesn't talk really at all during gameplay. It would be nice if you could, like, click on an inventory item or, like, environment stuff and he would say a little thing about it. Like, the voice acting for John is good. Like, I would like to hear more of him. Also, I swear there are a few puzzles that just, they put things in your inventory. Like, I do not remember picking this crowbar up, but it's just here after you fall from the elevator. So, some esoteric movement and interactable zones, and a protagonist who's a little too quiet, are pretty much my only big gripes. I do have a few other like little nitpicks, like there were various audio cracks and popping, and the camera somehow feels stiff and loose at the same time, but overall those are just like minuscule little details. I also didn't really care for this big ugly cursor in the middle of the screen, but that's really about it. There was a lot in the game's presentation that I really did enjoy though. Aside from some of the aforementioned cracks and pops, and some subpar recording quality, the sound design is pretty good. There's a lot of good ambient sound work during the normal gameplay. It's very atmospheric and it complements the environments well. I want to describe it as crisp. I also really enjoy the game's cutscenes. The models, the cutscene direction, the voice acting, it's all very fun and enjoyable. The models look like they were pulled right out of some obscure European cartoon that aired for a single season on some misbegotten network before being lost to the annals of time. And the voice performances are definitely theatrical. And don't get me wrong, I mean that in a very loving way. I enjoy the way it's bad. I also really love all the body language and the camera work and the cutscenes. It's silly, but it's portrayed with a straight-faced earnestness that really helps sell it. Sometimes what's being said doesn't really match up with the visuals tone-wise, but overall I would totally watch a Dracula movie in this style with this acting. It's definitely got a lot of charm. Alright, last thing I'm going to talk about is the different versions of this game I played. So, I wanted to see if the Steam version lived up to all the hate, and I was just curious to see what storefronts had what copies. First off is GOG, which seems to be the definitive version of this game. All the footage you've seen so far has been the GOG copy, and I think this is the original version, or at least the closest to the original version. The game runs at 4x3, and there are no graphic options. And aside from not liking it when you minimize the game or click off of it, it runs out of the box with no problems. The version you can buy on Zoom platform seems to be the same as the GOG copy, except I found that the cutscenes skipped forward at random intervals, and I'm not sure why this happens.
It's the flute into the ruffians.
Do you know what the
Disturbance of use it to they communicate a melody.
rallying they play?
They thought I was, but it takes part of mine.
Maybe it's like an FPS thing, but I didn't bother to try and fix it. Now, the Steam version is a different beast entirely, and in all honesty, it's worse in almost every single way. The movement is worse because you now have to hold down the mouse button to look around. It also does this blurry fade-in every time you move screens, which makes me very uncomfortable. There's also this little text box that pops up sometimes to add, like, commentary, and it looks out of place and weird. You also have to click the box itself to make it go away, which just makes it all the more annoying. There are also missing puzzles and removed cutscenes, and not just, like, little interstitial cutscenes, like walking up and down stairs. Like, actual relevant plot information is removed. Like, the husband's journal entry that you get inside the inn is removed, and like a very important cutscene at the end is removed. And it's just, it's such a strange decision to remove these things. Not to mention that the cutscenes themselves somehow look worse than the native 4x3 version, and they play in this like tiny ass little window. The inventory screen is also just demonstrably worse. Like in the original, you have this tonally appropriate little dial that you have quick access to with just like one click of the right mouse button, and now you have just squares that you can only access by clicking the little window in the bottom corner of the screen. It's awful. Also, I'm not entirely sure if this is correct, but when I played through this version, it felt like the background ambient audio was playing too fast. Like it felt like the noises were like cycling too fast. And I'm not even sure if this was happening or if I was just having a moment. But, I mean, if it is, it could be like an FPS thing. But, again, I didn't really experiment with it. It felt unnatural and weird. Everything felt hurried, and it made me uncomfortable. The only good thing I could say about this version is that it has pathways. Like, you can see where you can move to, and items and interactable elements are highlighted on the screen. And that's it. Everything else is a straight downgrade. And on top of all of that, this version is like the most expensive version of all of them. There's also a PS1 version of the game, and this is as far as I got into that. Adventure games have always been a blind spot for me, and you know, I've been pretty deeply rooted in shooters and survival horror games for most of my life, but I am hoping to change that. There are a lot of folks here on YouTube that I admire who talk about this genre, and it kind of makes me feel like I'm missing out. I feel like there are a lot of unique experiences to be had, and I phrase it like that for better and for worse. Like, I know there are titles that have been on my radar forever that I've just never gotten around to, like Harvester and Phantasmagoria and Blade Runner. And considering two of the goals of whatever the fuck this little venture is, was going to be broadening my horizons and finally playing some of these games in my fucking backlog, I think this was a good one to start. It was short, relatively simple, and had an enjoyable presentation. There wasn't really anything in the way of brain rot logic puzzles or obtuse about its design. And there are at least 2 more of these, and I'm excited to see how those hold up. I also really, really need some shorter games. I would really like to get these things out faster than the 2 months it seems to normally take me, but we'll see. Yeah, I think that's about it today. If this seemed interesting to you, you should definitely pick up a copy on GOG. Actually, while you're there, you should pick up some more stuff. GOG's it's a good platform. I know they just recently revealed their GOG preservation program, where they're highlighting all the games that, like, you know, these are the ones that we fixed up and made work right. And it's good. It's like, I'm glad that there's a storefront out there that's like focusing on game preservation, because as somebody who kind of migrated to PC gaming in the last decade or so, there's a lot of titles that just they need help. Some of these things you gotta do a lot of fucking tinkering to get working. So I'm glad there's people out there that are just, you know, trying to preserve these things. Just doing God's work is what it is. Alrighty, that is all for today. I hope you all stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Evidently, it is also really fucking cold in this castle.